Let's start real basic. Let's say, hey, you know what? Let's just get people well first. Let's see if we can retune this process to avoid hyperinsulinemia, to fix the majority of most problems. Those chronic diseases account for 70% of deaths in our society. They fall under one of those categories: diabetes, heart disease, obesity, Alzheimer's. They also account for 80% of healthcare costs. Now, what's kind of, to me, and I think to a lot of you guys, a little scary, a little hurtful, and a little confusing, is that the people who manufacture these products, these sugar-laden products, these corporate giants like Coca-Cola, don't want to recognize this. They want to say, no, it's not about the hormones, it's not about what's happening here with insulin, but it's about an energy balance issue. Calories in has to equal calories out. So if you're obese, what should you do? Go exercise. But that completely undercuts the root cause of what's really causing these issues. So this is where we're going to start with our first baseline prescription to get people just to eat for wellness. I'm going to write this down and then we'll talk about it. We want you to eat meat, vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and no sugar. No added sugar. When we look at this list, you guys are going to laugh at really how simple this is. But in essence, we're asking people to eat real food. You'll be so surprised how a lot of people don't know what real food is. They're so accustomed to eating processed food that they can't tell the difference between real food and fake or manufactured food. This is the way humans have eaten for 99% of their existence. Okay? On this list, if we were to think about the practical application for shopping for this stuff, it's as easy as going in the grocery store and sticking to the perimeter of the grocery store. Avoid the aisles, avoid the things in packages. Go in, you take a right. What's the first thing you encounter on the right? Fruits and vegetables, right? You go a little farther, you get to the deli, you get the meat. Skip the bakery. Keep going forward, right? And you just stay out of the aisles. There's some really cool characteristics and benefits of this list that we're gonna dive into. This list has a very high density and a really nice balance of macronutrients and micronutrients. So let's talk about that for a second. A macronutrient is something you eat in a larger quantity compared to micronutrients or vitamins and minerals. And they're categorized under things like protein, carbs, and fat. And we already said, you know what, most people are very carb heavy in their diet. So when we look at this list, if we break it down based on what macronutrient is predominantly represented or what you're getting a lot of, when I say eat meat, I'm talking about things with eyes. I'm talking about animal protein, okay? Fish, steak, chicken. Those are all the types of meat we're talking about. What is meat primarily? Protein, right? So it's a big P. It's got a lot of density of protein. Yeah, there may be a little bit of fat in there. There may be even a little carbohydrate in there, but predominantly it's going to be recognized in a good source of protein. Vegetables. What's a vegetable? It's a carb. I'm so surprised sometimes how people don't think vegetables are carbohydrates. They look at a plate of greens and they're like, where are your carbs? Like, the vegetables are carbohydrates. Now, having said that, Is a vegetable a very dense source of carbohydrates? Is there a lot of sugar content in vegetables? No. So it's just a little c, okay? Just a little c, not a ton there. Nuts and seeds, things like almonds, oils, what would those break down to? Fats. This is a really good source of fat, right? A high density of fats. And there may be some carbohydrates or protein, but a lot of fat mostly. Some fruit. What's fruit? Carbohydrates. Pretty dense source of carbohydrates. Pretty good sugar content in fruit. But notice how now we put some really elegant limiting language in here. Don't go crazy on fruit. Just eat some fruit. Eat more vegetables than fruit. Pretty simple, right? So again, we've got another little c there for the fruit. Little starch. When we talk about starch, talking about things like potatoes, rices. What are those? Carbohydrates. And again, really dense sources of carbohydrates. Good dense sources of carbohydrates. But don't go crazy on that stuff. Eat more vegetables than fruit. Eat more fruit than starch. Again, another little c. How much added sugar? How much corn syrup? Yeah? How much NutraSweet? No, it's not on the list. Right? So when we add all this up, we've got a big P, 3 little C's would just give me a big C and another F. So you see how this is a lot more balanced? Now here really lies in the magic of this list. These are not only great sources of macronutrients and balanced sources of macronutrients, but they're great sources of micronutrients. I'm talking about the essential vitamins and minerals that your body needs for life's processes. And I'm also talking about the vitamins and minerals that are stripped away from food when they're processed. As soon as you start to treat stuff, as soon as you start to process it, refine it, it loses these very valuable vitamins and minerals. So within this list, you're going to get a ton of that. You're going to get a really nice blend. There's great micronutrient synergy, the way these things work together in their natural or whole foods form. It's because there's not a lot of ingredients to this stuff, right? You go to the back of a Rice Krispie treat, and it's got like this laundry list of ingredients. And you go to the back of an apple, and it says apple, right? And when it comes to the way that this stuff starts breaking down, there's also a lot of good fiber in this diet. So the fiber you're going to get from the vegetables, from the fruit, from the meats, this is actually a great way for your body, not only to help your body be happy and healthy, but if we were to compare, you know, the amount of sugar in a Snickers bar, just think about this. I got a Snickers bar, and I've got an equivalent amount of carbohydrate content in probably like a bowl of broccoli. Okay, so you're able to eat a lot more for the same sugar content, but when you eat that equivalent sugar content, it doesn't enter your bloodstream as fast. It doesn't enter as quickly because that fiber slows down the breakdown and the entry of those sugars into your bloodstream. Essentially, it's like pinching a hose. So you're not going to get those huge sugar spikes, and you're not going to overstimulate insulin simply by just eating real food.